And we're back, Adventure Blur here for part 2 of Chaos. Now, if you haven't seen part 1 yet, then now's a good time to go and watch it. So I'll give you a couple seconds to do that. You watched it already? Well then, let's get started. Right where we left off, Chaos managed to survive, and seeing that Eggman was unable to help him any further, went after him. When Chaos found Eggman, he quickly attacked. Not long after Chaos' attack, Angel Island began to fall again. Knuckles, who just completed the Master Emerald, rushed to Eggman to figure out what happened, and Chaos struck, taking out Knuckles and leaving the island defenseless, giving Chaos a chance to grab the 6 Chaos Emeralds that Knuckles had and search for the remaining emerald, which was in the wreckage of the Tornado 2. After hearing about Angel Island falling again, Sonic and Tails go to Angel Island and find Knuckles and Eggman hurt. While Knuckles tries to tell Sonic what happened, Eggman rushes off. Sonic soon has a vision from Tikal, showing him what turns Chaos into such a monster. Sonic sees firsthand the destruction of the Temple of the Master Emerald, and Tikal's tribe's attack on Chaos. Sonic then runs in and helps Tikal, who is seriously injured from the attack. She immediately runs to the top of the altar and pleads with the Master Emerald to stop Chaos. By the time Sonic wakes up from the vision, Knuckles already left to find the Tornado 2. Sonic and Tails go into the Mystic Ruins jungle to find Tornado 2. But just as they're about to get the Chaos Emerald from it, Chaos attacks. Chaos destroys one side of the tornado, takes the final Chaos Emerald, and becomes Perfect Chaos. Hinted at the opening cinematic for Sonic Adventure, Chaos, now with all the Chaos Emeralds, unleashes his power on Station Square, turning the entire city into a flooded wasteland. Sonic, Tails, and the others rush to Station Square and witness Eggman's attack on Perfect Chaos with the Egg Carrier Mark II. Though the fight doesn't last long. Chaos quickly brings the egg carrier down and causes it to crash into a nearby building. But don't worry, Eggman survives. Somehow. Conveniently. Just don't question it, okay? I don't understand how he can survive crashing into a building, but it happened, so, you know, yay. Chaos, believing itself unstoppable, gave up the 7 Chaos Emeralds, which now lost all of their negative power. You see, Perfect Chaos, instead of using all the power of the Chaos Emeralds, only used the negative energy. Something similar happens in Sonic Unleashed's opening, though in that situation, Eggman stole all the Chaos Emeralds' powers from Super Sonic. With Perfect Chaos destroying the city, Sonic and the others are suddenly joined by Tikal, who explains that Chaos wouldn't stop with just the city. Instead, it would use its rage and hatred to destroy the world, just like Chaos nearly did in Tikal's time. This is where things get interesting for Chaos' backstory, because there is a reason for him attacking Station Square, and it changes the game when you realize it. Not long ago, it was confirmed in an interview that a theory in the Sonic community was true, that Chaos is in fact a mutated Chao. This theory mainly stemmed from the Chaos Chao, the most powerful type of Chao who are not only immortal, but bear a shocking resemblance to Chaos Zero. This theory makes even more sense when you put it into Sonic Adventure's story, because Chaos' rage came from not only his past experience with Tikal's tribe and the whole massacre that followed, but that Chaos saw firsthand the Chao he protected imprisoned. Think about it. There are hidden Chao eggs all throughout the adventure field in Sonic Adventure, and each one is in some sort of prison. The egg in Station Square is in a shop, the Mystic Ruin egg is stuck in a wall, and the Egg Carrier egg is legit in a cell. Not only this, but outside of cutscenes, the only time you see Chao in Sonic Adventure are in the Chao Gardens, in which you raise a Chao. Though to Chaos, he can easily see that Sonic and the others just mutating Chao for their benefits. The only way to really make your Chao grow in Sonic Adventure is to feed them animals, and the only reason to really do it is to win Chao races. So for Chaos, this was enough. After explaining Chaos' hatred, Tikal then tells Sonic to use the positive energy from the Chaos Emeralds to turn into Super Sonic and steal Perfect Chaos back into the Master Emerald. Sonic agrees and, with the help of the others, turns into Super Sonic and attacks Perfect Chaos. This is one of, if not the most iconic battle in the Sonic Adventure series, or the modern series for that matter. There are 2 parts to the fight, and both play pretty similar. The first part is one that everyone remembers though, mostly because of the fact that Open Your Heart, the main theme for Sonic Adventure, is playing in the background the entire time, and it's awesome. The main goal for the fight is to run into Perfect Chaos as fast as you can, while it's dodging its attacks and making sure you have rings. To continue to be in the super state, Sonic needs to have rings, and at least 50 rings to do the state, which is actually a nod to classic Sonic games. After a few hits, Perfect Chaos goes down, just to come back up stronger than ever. The music also takes a drastic turn, now being much darker and more serious. It definitely gives the tone that they were going for, that this is it. Perfect Chaos attacks much more frequently now, using bolts of energy, giant typhoons, and his most powerful attack, an energy beam that shoots out of his mouth, powerful enough to even bring the Egg Carrier 2 down moments earlier. After a long and intense fight, Super Sonic managed to defeat Perfect Chaos, causing him to revert back to Chaos Zero, and Sonic also goes back to his normal state. Because of the power of Super Sonic, Chaos's anger was neutralized, giving Chaos the peace he needed. Suddenly, Chao will appear and go to Chaos. He then sees that the Chao he fought so hard to protect from Sonic and the others were fine, and Tikal explains to him that the Chao have been living alongside them happily. Finally, Tikal takes Chaos and herself away from the destruction, and they return to their time. Or, that's what we're meant to believe. You see, this was meant to be Chaos's last major role in the series, and to a degree it is, but he still made some big appearances later on in the series. His next major appearance was in Sonic Adventure 2 as an unlockable 2-player character, though he was unlockable from the start in the battle version. In it, he is in his Chaos Zero form and plays roughly the same as Knuckles and Rouge, but is slower, though he makes up for it with his power. Chaos is hands down the most powerful character in the Knuckles Rouge gameplay, with him having the longest reach of any character, and his special attacks being both stronger and lasting longer. Also, his brain isn't seen like in Sonic Adventure. Not sure why they changed that, but they did. Chaos also has a small role in the story of Sonic Adventure 2 as well. Near the end of the hero story and about the middle of the dark story, each of the sides heads to the space colony Ark, an advanced space station that was built over 50 years ago before the events of the Sonic Adventure series. The Ark was used by the government to help Gerald Robotnik, Dr. Eggman's grandfather, create the ultimate life form. The Ark houses prototypes for a Chaos-like enemy, and what happened was that after a few failed experiments creating the ultimate life form, Gerald Robotnik decided to create his next prototype based off a mural that Sonic finds at the end of Lost World in Sonic Adventure. He would create these creatures based off of Chaos, which would become the artificial Chaos. Gerald created several types of artificial Chaos, and each one displays similar attributes to Chaos, whether it's turning into a ball like how Chaos 2 did, or being able to shoot spikes out like Perfect Chaos. Eventually, Gerald and the others decided to focus the rest of the project on a different legend. The legend that is set in an old mural in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. The mural depicted a hedgehog, so it only seemed fitting to use that as the base, and, named after the project, Shadow the Hedgehog was created. Not long after this, Gun, the guardian units of the nation, decided that the project was too dangerous and to shut it down, arresting the scientists, sealing the bio-lizard away, and abandoning the Ark, leaving only Gun robots there. But those robots were not alone. The artificial Chaos not only survived, but thrived on the Ark. The artificial Chaos would be one of the main enemies in the Ark sections of Sonic Adventure, and later the Shadow the Hedgehog game, being able to survive both in the Ark and in space, and also being one of the most annoying enemies of all time. Seriously, if you played Sonic Adventure 2, you know what I'm talking about. Every time I try to kill one, I somehow get hit. Though he isn't seen himself, Chaos still has a pretty overlooked yet major role in Sonic Heroes. In Sonic Heroes, 4 separate teams are after Eggman for different reasons. Team Sonic, with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, are after him to stop him from trying to take over the world. Again. Team Dark, with Rouge, the last E100 robot named Omega, and an amnesia-stricken Shadow, are after Eggman for answers. Then there's Team Rose, consisting of Amy, Cream, and Big. And they are trying to find both Cream's Chao and Froggy again, who were kidnapped recently. And finally, Team Chaotix, which makes its return after nearly 10 years of absence, which has Vector, Charmy, and Espio, and they're out to do missions for an unnamed benefactor who plans to pay them richly. Throughout the game, each team will come across and fight Eggman and defeat him, only to find out that the Eggman they fought was a decoy. But after the fights, the Eggman decoy melts and comes back up as Neo Metal Sonic, a form of the original Metal Sonic from Sonic CD. It's later revealed that Metal Sonic has been using each of these encounters to copy each of the characters' fighting styles and abilities, which will make him stronger. He also was the one who kidnapped Froggy and Cream's Chao, and the reason was simple: Chaos. Chaos was confirmed earlier to be a mutated Chao, so having a Chao's abilities would help. And Froggy swallowed Chaos before, so he still has some of Chaos' DNA. So, using Chaos' DNA and the information he gained from finding Sonic and the others, Metal Sonic transformed into Metal Overlord. But before he can complete the transformation, he was attacked by Team Rose, Dark, and the Chaotix. Until his transformation is complete, this form of Metal Sonic is called Metal Madness, which is actually a nod to the last level of Metal Sonic's first game, Sonic CD. Only in that it's known as Metallic Madness. Metal Madness does share a few traits with Chaos, which it copied part of. Mostly some of its attacks are similar to not just Perfect Chaos, but with Chaos 6 as well. Similar to Chaos 6, Metal Madness can send out spikes to attack its enemies and use its tail to hit them as well. And Chaos is, of course, known for its shape-shifting powers. And Metal Madness is using its own version of that power the entire fight to turn into Metal Overlord. And after Team Rose, Chaotix, and Dark finish fighting Metal Madness, he finally transforms into Metal Overlord, who, unlike the last iteration, doesn't have all that much in common with any version of Chaos. Team Sonic, now in their super forms, managed to defeat Metal Overlord and make him revert back into the original Metal Sonic. Sonic and the others then run off and go on to their next adventure, which leads straight to Chaos' next appearance, Sonic Battle. Sonic Battle is, in my opinion, the swan song of the Dreamcast, or, as some call it, the Adventure era. It makes major references to not only Sonic Adventure, but Sonic Adventure 2, Heroes, and even the advanced games. And with major appearances from Shadow, Cream, and even a version of Gamma, it truly was a game full of fan service. And alongside all of those characters was Chaos once again, though this time back in his Chaos Zero state. In Sonic Battle, the story begins with Sonic finding a Geyzoid, an extremely powerful robot created by an ancient civilization. This Geyzoid in particular, called Emerald by Sonic and the others, was originally found by Gerald Robotnik, who we already touched upon earlier. Gerald never did much research with the Geyzoid, and it remained in stasis for years until Dr. Eggman found it and decided to use its power. Dr. Eggman was unable to get the Geyzoid to function properly and dumped it on Emerald Beach, only to be found by Sonic. Sonic then introduces Emerald to some of the other characters, including Tails, Knuckles, Rouge, Amy, and Shadow, and with each interaction, Emerald gained part of their personality. Eventually, Eggman realizes that Emerald works and decides to send out his robots to get him, including Chaos Gamma, an E100 robot built similarly to the original Gamma. After Emerald fights off all the robots, Eggman decides to capture Emerald himself and unleashes a newly built Death Egg. You know, those Death Stars that Eggman seems to really like using? Yeah, one of those. When the Death Egg is revealed in the last story, it causes a volcanic crater to be flooded, and from it, Chaos Zero emerges. When Emerald and Sonic ask Knuckles about it, he says that Chaos is just sitting there, guarding the Death Egg. He then explains that Chaos only shows himself in times of great crisis. After Emerald finishes talking to Knuckles, he can go and fight Chaos and learn some of Chaos' moveset, which he'll need for the final battle. Chaos Zero fights and plays like how he does in the Sonic Adventure series, with him being slow but making up for it with his wide range and power. In fact, Chaos Zero is the most powerful character in the game, which stays true to his history. His part of the story may not stay true to his history though. You see, after Sonic Adventure, we don't know where Tikal and Chaos went. Heck, even Sonic doesn't, as explained in a mock interview for the then upcoming release of Sonic Heroes, which actually came out after Sonic Battle, even though Sonic Battle's story takes place after Heroes. And though it is shown on the final screen of Sonic Adventure's last story that Chaos and Tikal are with some Chao at the Mystic Ruins, we don't know when. Tikal states that they go back to their time, but it looks like the temple is in great condition, and even the Chaos Emeralds are there. That doesn't add up. Because unless if they somehow either went to a time before Tikal was even born, or completely changed the past, the temple should still be in ruins. Tikal's father and his men may not have been able to take the emeralds, but they still laid waste to the temple itself, which brings up two interesting theories. One theory suggests that Tikal and Chaos are in some sort of afterlife, saying that because Tikal was in a spirit form throughout Sonic Adventure, and that they went to their own time, she would be dead, and Chaos is immensely powerful, so he may be able to get to her somehow, maybe in a way similar to how she talks to Sonic and the others in Sonic Adventure. Though this theory has some flaws, mainly with the fact that Tikal can be in both a ball of light and in her normal form, which other ghosts in the Sonic series cannot do. The other theory has a different approach, stating that both Tikal and Chaos were once again sealed into the Master Emerald. And though this would explain their appearance in Sonic Adventure 2's multiplayer, that's not canon and it wouldn't help much else. In Sonic Adventure 2's story, the Master Emerald was broken early on by Knuckles to prevent Dr. Eggman from stealing it. So if it was broken, then both Tikal and Chaos would have been broken out. It probably would have had a much larger appearance in the game outside of multiplayer. This also wouldn't explain Chaos' appearance in Sonic Battle. The Master Emerald was never broken in the game, so how would he have gotten out of it, let alone appear somewhere completely different from where the Master Emerald was? Honestly, I can argue both, so I think it's just up to interpretation. The main thing is that Chaos is in Sonic Battle, and though he may not be a major part of the story and it may not make sense why he's there, he still has a presence in the game. After this appearance, we only get 3 more major roles for Chaos. Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood, which is somewhat of a continuation of Sonic Battle's story, is similar to Heroes in that Chaos doesn't make an appearance, but still has a role in the story. The story of Sonic Chronicles revolves around the Nocturnus clan, a clan of echidnas that took over when the Knuckles clan, Tikal's people, disappeared. If you know the story of Sonic Adventure, then you know what happened and why it's such a huge deal. We see in Sonic Adventure the Knuckles clan's destruction, and the reason for all of it even happening to begin with was because Tikal's father wanted the Chaos Emeralds to defeat their tribe's enemies, and their enemies were the Nocturnus clan. And the last time Chaos has any role in a Sonic game is in Sonic Generations, where Perfect Chaos is a returning boss. In fact, Perfect Chaos in Sonic Generations is actually what Perfect Chaos was originally meant to look like, but due to hardware limitations at the time, they weren't able to pull it off. His boss fight in Sonic Generations plays almost the exact same as how it does in Sonic Adventure, with one difference. Sonic isn't in his super form. This may not seem like that much of a change, but it makes Super Sonic in Sonic Adventure pointless. Why go through all the trouble to keep having rings and to be Super Sonic when you can just speed through the entire place and stop Chaos without using a single emerald? It just takes away from the moments that you get in Sonic Adventure. And finally, we see Chaos one more time as a boss in LEGO Dimensions Sonic Level Pack. In the story, Sonic manages to rescue his friends that Eggman captured and goes after Eggman, who is now, once again, on the Death Egg. After a short fight with the Death Egg robot, Eggman runs away and leaves Sonic there with what turns out to be Chaos Zero, who, unlike the original, is 5 times larger than the Chaos Zero we know, but, like the original, is after Chaos Emeralds. During the fight with Chaos Zero, Amy, who was captured by Eggman, manages to defeat Eggman and get the last Chaos Emerald, which she gives to Sonic, who then turns into Super Sonic and finishes off Chaos Zero, which, in turn, finishes the story mode of the pack. Though LEGO Dimensions isn't canon for the obvious reasons, it's still full of references to previous Sonic games, like a Sega Genesis flying out of a portal, or even Eggman getting sucked into a portal and screaming "not again," referencing him being captured in Sonic Generations by the Time Eater. And with Chaos Zero's boss fight, we have some references as well, including the fact that Super Sonic finishes him off by hitting his brain, and Chaos Zero's original theme is playing throughout the end of the fight. Chaos has also made some other, much smaller appearances recently as well, like being an ice sculpture in the Dream figure skating game in Mario and Sonic at the Winter Olympic Games 2010, and being one of the names for a profile in Sonic and the Black Knight. Chaos has also made some appearances in both Sonic X and the Archie Sonic series. Though both are mostly just adaptations of Sonic Adventure's story, he has also had somewhat of a larger role in Archie Sonic, where he would appear from time to time as an important character, even being controlled by Eggman while in his perfect form at one point. With the soft reboot of the Sonic comic series though, his role has been turned into exactly how it is in the games. After going through all of this, the big question is, what's next for Chaos? With both Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces coming out soon, could we see him return to the role we've seen him in the Dreamcast era? I doubt we will see him in Mania, or any classic game that's ever made later on, though a reference similar to what we saw for him in Sonic 3 could be possible. But with Forces recently revealing that Chaos is a major character in it, I think the future looks bright for the mutated Chao we all know and love. With fan reaction of Chaos being in Sonic Forces being very positive, I would be shocked if we don't see him in other roles after Forces. Chaos is such an interesting character for many Sonic fans. He never talks, doesn't make too many appearances throughout the series, yet he's one of the most iconic characters of the series. Unlike, say, Shadow, whose popularity changed his story time and time again, to the point where his death in Sonic Adventure 2 meant nothing, Chaos managed to not only have his story and continue it through hints in other games, but managed to make it work as well. I mean, outside of the core cast, what other characters in the series have this much backstory and it work? Thank you so much for watching this entire video. Chaos is just such an interesting character to me. He defined the Dreamcast era, and I've been wanting to do this video on him for a very long time, pretty much since I started YouTubing, so to finally get the video not only done, but out for you guys to watch it, it's great. I'm glad that you guys finally got to enjoy this entire look back at Chaos since from like his first game to now. But if you enjoyed this video, how about you check out my Splatoon video right here, where I go through all the different theories about the sunken scrolls from the game. And if you want to check out another video of mine, how about you check out my SuperCon video, where I went to SuperCon fairly recently and met Charles Martinet, the voice behind all sorts of Mario characters. So if you want to check out that video, check it out right here. And so, this is Adventure Blur, and I'll see you guys next time.